Hello, horror fans. Welcome back to Jay versus Horror. Guys, we are nearing the end of February, and it is Black History Month. Now, to me, Black History Month sounds a little ridiculous at times because Black Americans should have their history remembered 365 days a year like every other American. But it is nice to have a specific time to kind of make everybody stop, take a breath, and think about the past. And I think it's important to remember that black characters haven't gotten a very good deal when it comes to horror movies. A lot of them get killed off first, which is kind of a stereotype that doesn't really happen anymore because it's a stereotype. Or they get killed off later in the film. They're not given much to do, and rarely do they get to be the hero, right? Luckily, that's starting to change. We're getting some African American directors and writers. We have guys like Jordan Peele who are writing African American characters. So maybe things are changing. Maybe things are looking up. Now, today, guys, we're going to be talking about some underrated performances, underappreciated performances from black actors in horror. And, we have the classics. We have like Dwayne Jones and Tony Todd from Night of the Living Dead and films like that. And to be honest, when Black History Month rolls around, those are always the first names I see anyone mention, and I just thought we would dig a little deeper today. We're going to talk about some really underappreciated black characters and actors. Now, guys, I'm doing a top 5, but please believe me when I say there are far more than 5. You need to go out there and look and really enjoy some of these great performances, okay? So at number 5, I'm starting with True Blood. And the reason why I say True Blood is because there's 2 actors here I really want to talk about. We have Rutina Wesley as Tara Thornton and Nelson Ellis as Lafayette Reynolds. Guys, when True Blood first came out, when that first season hit around 2008, I remember watching it and thinking, man, this is pretty good. It's pretty interesting. And I got my girlfriend at the time into watching the show. And so by the time the second, third, fourth season started to roll around, the show, to me, progressively got worse. It became more of a soap opera than something that was horror related and fun to watch. They started bringing in fairy nightclubs and all kinds of weird stuff that took away from the horror aspect of it and made it more fantasy, in my opinion. So after the first season, I was stuck watching this show, even though it slowly started to decline. I liked it less and less. But I'd gotten my girlfriend into it, so now I'm stuck watching the show. And I have to say that Rutina Wesley's character of Chera and Nelson Ellis's character of Lafayette are really the only 2 things that kept me going with this show. I loved their characters. I loved their storylines. I think they went through the most, and they weren't always given this romantic fairy tale storyline where they got to run off with a werewolf or a vampire. And now Rutina Wesley would even go on to be in another show that I really did enjoy, which was called Hannibal. That's right. She's in season 3 of Hannibal. She gives an awesome performance there. And unfortunately, guys, we lost Nelson Ellis in 2017. This guy was super talented. He was an American actor and playwright. He achieved critical acclaim, of course, for some of his plays that he wrote, and also for his performance of Lafayette in the HBO show True Blood. Sadly, Nelson passed away July 8th, 2017 at the age of 39, and he died from complications due to alcohol withdrawal. He was a tortured soul. He spent many years of his life as an alcoholic, and he was actually, at this point in his life, trying to get sober, and he died from complications due to that. So that makes it even more important to remember Nelson, because he really was a truly talented person, and he will be missed. It's sad to lose him at 39 because there's no telling what this guy would have went on to do, how many Oscars he would have won in the future or anything like that, how many plays he would have written. Ultimately, a very sad ending, guys, but a truly great performance from Nelson Ellis in True Blood. All right, horror fans. Now, at number 4, I look down at my list and I see simply a name, and that name is Ernest Lee Hudson. That's right, Ernie Hudson, born December 17th, 1945. Ernie Hudson is 75 years old, guys. He does not look like it. That's for damn sure, right? And I simply wrote Ernie's name down because he's done so many great things it would be hard to mention everything. I think the top 3 things we can look at in the horror genre is his performance as Winston in Ghostbusters. Of course, he was in Leviathan, a great creature feature film, and also his performance in The Crow. I think he is almost a second lead in that movie. A couple of other great performances that don't get mentioned much from Ernie is his performance in 1992's The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Just an absolutely great performance for him there. And then later on in 1995 in the film Congo, I really enjoyed his performance in that movie. Now, Ernie never got the lead, right? That was always the problem. He never got the lead. He was always kind of like the off character, the second banana, whatever you want to call it. And so I was very happy when I started to see Ernie on the HBO show Oz. He played Warden Leo Glenn from 1997 to 2003, and man, was he good at that role. He was so rich in that role. I mean, you never see Ernie play the bad guy. He's one of those guys that we kind of grow up thinking about him like an uncle. You see him in so many things like Danny Glover or Tommy Lee Jones. These iconic actors that we see over and over again. You start to develop a kinship for them, and that's the way I feel about Ernie. And with his role as Warden Leo Glenn, he proved that he was a great actor. He has significant range. So yeah, I would highly suggest you guys check out the series Oz from HBO. I think a lot of people have forgotten about Oz. It was one of the first really good hardcore television shows with nasty violence and meanness, right? So definitely check that out. All right, horror fans, we are moving on now. At number 3, we are going to talk about an actor named Mack Brooks. And one of the films I'm going to talk about is Creature from 2011. It's not the greatest horror film of all time, but it is a pretty decent little B movie. It has Mack Brooks in it and also Sid Haig. And I love this movie because Mack Brooks is such a badass in it. He actually physically has to fight a creature to get his girlfriend back, and he's like an ex-Marine. He's just a badass in this movie. So yeah, definitely a good watch there. Creature from 2011. And also Mack did a stint on True Blood. I believe season 2 he was in. Mack is also in the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie. He's going to be playing Jax. And the truth is, Mack hasn't done a ton of stuff, but I put him on this list because I really like this guy. And I see a big, bright future for him ahead. Like I said, his performance in Creature is underrated. I thought he did a great job in True Blood for the time that he was on there. And I'm sure he's going to kill it as Jax. Mack is a good actor, and he's also a huge guy with a unique look. All right, horror fans, moving on to number 2, we have Lawrence Fishburne. Now, Lawrence has had some great roles, but we mostly remember him as horror fans from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. That was an early role for Larry Fishburne, and even in that film, you can tell he is a good actor who has star quality. The guy is off the charts when it comes to charisma, and probably his most famous role in the horror genre is going to be as Captain Miller, the commanding officer of the Lewis and Clark in the film Event Horizon. I love him in this movie because he's super intelligent, but the guy is also super tough and dedicated to getting his crew back home safely, if possible. Now, the counterpart here is Sam Neill, and I love the relationship between them because Sam Neill walks around the ship pretending like he's smarter than everyone else. He's very pretentious, and that's part of his downfall, is that he's so smart that he's unable to see what's happening around him and accept it. Lawrence Fishburne is smart in a different way, where he sees all this playing out, but he's not weak. He's able to maintain his mental toughness and his focus. Lawrence's breakthrough performance came in What's Love Got to Do with It, where he played the iconic and horrible person, Ike Turner. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. I think if they'd have put him in the Best Supporting category that year, he would have won. Lawrence also became the first African American to portray Othello from William Shakespeare in a major motion picture. You go through this guy's film credits, and he's really been in just about everything. The Color Purple, School Days, King of New York with Christopher Walken, Searching for Bobby Fischer, which was a great role for him. He should have won an Oscar for that one. Mystic River, Aquila and the Bee, another great role. Contagion, of course, he was in Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and one of my favorite performances from him is as Jack Crawford, of course, in the NBC series Hannibal. I think of the three Jack Crawfords, I believe that he's my favorite because Lawrence Fishburne's Jack Crawford is a badass. The fight that him and Hannibal have in season 2 is absolutely iconic and is only matched by the fight they have in season 3. I love that character and I love Lawrence's performances in the role. All right, horror fans, let's move on to my number one pick for underappreciated black characters and actors. And this is a personal favorite. I don't know how iconic it is, but I love it a lot. And this is Jada Pinkett Smith as Geraldine in Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. First off, I love this movie. I mean, it just couldn't be any more fun. Also, the cast, Billy Zane, William Sadler, of course, Jada, Thomas Hayden Church, CCH Pounder, John Kaiser, of course, is the Crypt Keeper. Just a great, fun film. It doesn't get much better than this. Jada plays Geraldine, who is kind of a barmaid who's down on her luck. She's scrubbing the floors of a whorehouse when Billy Zane shows up and makes everything go nuts. But Jada is actually the toughest person in this film. Her character of Geraldine survives. And not only survives, but thrives. She becomes essentially the protector of humanity against demons. Now, you gotta love that, right? So Jada kind of subtly becomes our hero in this film. And her performance is right on the nose. It's extremely smart, very sharp. And I love the end of this movie. I wish there had been a sequel. You know, I think Jada might actually be a horror fan because this performance came shortly before Scream 2 did, and she did the opening of Scream 2, which was very important because the whole setup in Scream 1 is that they gave us a very famous actor and then they killed that actor off, and we didn't get to see them in the rest of the movie. And that's kind of what they did with her and Omar Epps in Scream 2. We knew who they were at the beginning of the film, that they were very successful actors, and of course, they played into the stereotype of the African American characters getting killed off first. And this is one of the only times I actually remember that happening. I know it's happened more times than that, but when I sit down and think about it, it doesn't just come to mind. So her performance in that made me remember it, though, because it was so kind of heartbreaking the way that she died in that movie. I hate seeing Jada Pinkett Smith get stabbed. That's terrible. All right, horror fans. Now, that's all we've got for this week, but I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to leave me some comments. Let me know what some of your favorite underrated, unappreciated performances are from black actors in horror films, or maybe even some of your favorite black characters in horror films that don't get mentioned enough, like Julian from Friday the 13th Part 8. See, I stole that one from you before you could use it. Now, if you don't have any, if you can't think of any, then it's time to hit Google because there are hundreds of great performances from black actors in horror films, and there's no shame in searching out information, guys. The way I look at it is like this. If you are uninformed, if you are uneducated about something, it's not your fault that you don't know about it. But accepting ignorance and deciding to live with ignorance, that's a whole different concept altogether. So if you don't know something, don't feel bad. Go look it up. Make yourself knowledgeable. Make yourself educated about it. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, we will talk to you the next time we've got something worth talking about. Bye.